Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast. I'm Uncommon Fossil, and joining me, as always, is 10 Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
So I know you're feeling a little under the weather, but I'm sure you'll bring the energy. What we're going to talk about today, I think, is Stellar Crown. It's less than a week away as the time of recording, and it'll be even 4 days or so away from being available on live. It comes out on Thursday, like usual. With it, and there's a this is a full set, unlike Shrouded Fable was a mini set. This has a number of impactful cards. I think we just want to talk about some of the new cards. Is that just that's our plan here, correct?
Yes. No, yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about. It's definitely a set I'm very excited for. I think it's one of the sets I'm more excited for. It might be the most excited, like Scarlet and Violet set I am. The set I'm most excited for. I mean, the base set's like kind of cool because it's a new generation, but it
Right.
wasn't actually that crazy of a set. I mean, we got like good cards, but yeah, I'm really excited for the set.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of new decks coming out of it. I think some strong decks. Um, Limitless has also started posting some of the Japanese city leagues with the new cards. Although looking at those, a lot of the top decks are still the old decks we know, right? Probably with just a few tweaks, but there are some of the new decks in there as well. I was thinking the place to start is with what we're getting on the battle pass because we're ultimately getting that um, from day one. We'll get most of the cards, and the one on the basic or the free battle pass is the best deck, which is what they normally do, which is nice. And there's a lot of cards from the new set, and I think most of them are cards we want to talk about. So that's my thought. We'll start with that, and it's going to be a Terapagos EX set. You start with 2 copies, and as you work your way up on the ladder, you'll get 2 more. And Terapagos EX, it's a Terra Pokemon. It's a basic. It's also a stellar Pokemon. I don't know that it actually says that anywhere, right? That's just something that we refer to it as.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's in the set name, right? It's Stellar Crown in Japanese, or the
Yes.
translated Japanese, it's Stellar Miracle. So, clearly, it's something that Pokemon's doing intentionally. But yeah, it just says Terra on the card. So, and as we'll see with the deck, well, I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's a lot of cards that interact with specifically Terra Pokemon,
Yep.
not necessarily only Stellar Pokemon though. And there's, I believe, 4 Stellar Pokemon in this set as well, which I guess I'll introduce the mechanic now. If
Yeah.
you don't know, I imagine a lot of people do, but if you don't, the Terra mechanic is there was some like type changing stuff, but I don't think any of the stellar Pokemon are type changing from what we've seen so far. We've seen maybe like 10 or so, but then they have a benched immunity, which includes immunity from your own Pokemon. But whatever. The big thing here is that you have these attacks that cost 3 energy. And there's 3 different types of energy.
Right.
They are also all named after rocks, which I like forgot about. But and I'll just say Trap Ghost EX's second attack here, which is not the main attack, but Grass, Water, Lightning, and it does 180 with its attack Crown Opal. And during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic non-colorless Pokemon. So Trapdos EX is, of course, a basic, and it is a colorless Pokemon, so it will not wall off itself there. It does have 230 HP and 2 retreat. Fighting weak, that's its stats. So, solid stats there, nothing crazy.
Right. Right. These are all 3 different energies, kind of like the Amazing Rares, right? From a while ago. Those are single prize Pokemon. Some of the Stellars are evolution Pokemon as well, though. Is that correct?
Yeah, they can be EXs of any stage. We'll see how they interact with the trainer, or if we're going to get stellar trainers Pokemon. Trainers Pokemon are going to be coming, next year. And they are like a new mechanic. We'll see exactly what's going to go on with them because we don't really know much about them. But yeah, we'll see if the mechanics interact a lot, or they might not interact at all. We'll see.
Right. So the first attack's the big attack, but just on Crown Opal, obviously there are things in the set to help pay for this attack cost of 3 different types. So we'll get to that. Doing 180 damage is certainly fine for 3 different types of energies. 180 is not good, but being immune to basic Pokemon is very good, right? We saw Worlds, the top 3 decks are all big basic decks, and Ancient Boxes around too. So walling off basics is a good thing, and for the most part, they're not colorless basic Pokemon. So it is going to, besides the big attack, which is the first one, having that walling thing um, can win you games, and it's going to make life difficult, I think, for the big basic decks.
Yeah, although it is like kind of hard. Well, as you said, we'll talk about how you can power it up, but the set's really interesting. Looking at the meta in Japan right now, Trapco CX is certainly it's doing like okay. And by the way, the set is not brand new in Japan, so there's no like new set hype. Well, I don't know. There might be new set hype for another set, but there's no new set hype for these cards right now. So this is more of like a uh, meta that's like had time to develop some. And we haven't seen we've seen Trapco CX played in a bunch of different decks,
Hmm.
but also not all the decks can pay the second attack, I'm pretty sure. Some can though. A lot can, but it's definitely actually I don't know how many can. Some can though. Some can though.
Yeah. So on the Terrapagos, then I just scrolled away. But the first attack is for 2 colorless energies, and I
Oh, sorry. I was just looking at the decks. I don't know if like any of them actually can attack with it, but I feel like being able to attack with it is a nice option to have. But it's awkward because you want double turbo energies for the first attack, and then you need 3 different types of base guarantees. Now that's like just a big mess of things here.
yeah. I mean, well, I guess the other thing is if you're playing, you're in my favorite deck, Lugia V Star, you slap one of the. No, you can't get the energy types in standard. I take that back with
Yeah, but you
Lugia.
can use it for the first attack, and people might do that. I don't really know what Lugia's looking like now. I guess they're not from what I'm just seeing at the City League deck lists we're looking at so far. It's only been like 2 days of City League, so they resumed
Right.
the 7th, which is at the time recording this yesterday. It's like in the middle of the 8th. It's a little weird because like time zones and stuff, but yeah. So
I mean,
you could use the first attack though.
yeah. I mean, one of the decks, the top three, one of the tournaments, the top 3 decks were Lugia. But you could, and I have been playing some expanded in live, and I've been enjoying that, and it's a decent set of decks up there, I will say, which is fun. And obviously in expanded format, do have the special energies, but that's just a thought if you want to give it a try there. But the first attack, Unified Beatdown for 2 colorless, does you can't it does 30 damage for each of your bench Pokemon. And we do have the stadium to expand your bench, so you could potentially get 8 bench Pokemon. So 8 times 3 is 240 there, right? Or 220, which is generally the number you want to hit. Although some things need 10 more. So we do have the tool to. Do we have the tool to boost you 10 in standard, or no? I'm getting myself confused here.
Yeah, pretty sure. The Vitality Man. I think it's in standard. I haven't like seen it in forever, but yeah, no, it was reprinted in Scarlet and Violet.
Okay,
So
so
yeah,
so
it
that
is.
may become important in this deck then.
Maybe I think it could be good. Because 230 is like a solid number to hit. It's not like anything insane though. Because there is like obviously a lot are lower than 230, but then there is Regional EX which has 240.
Right.
And then there's also like Trapgo's EX also is 230, but then you might have HP buffs and stuff. So like hitting 10 more is like okay. And it is searchable, which we'll talk about. I mean, you can search out tools with Arvin and I mean, there's a bunch of ways, but there's the new knockdown, which we'll talk about as well.
Yeah, so look, it's for one double turbo, you fill your bench. You have to get the Pokemon to your bench, and I was the person that played a fair amount of Eternatus VMAX, which you could fill up your bench with a Pokemon. Um, you didn't always fill it, it would take a little work to fill it up, I will say though. So don't think by your second turn you may get 8 Pokemon on the bench, but you might not too. So you're not always going to hit that number. But for a basic Pokemon, a double one energy attachment doing 220 is a very nice damage. And at 230, and you can attach the tool, the bravery charm, so you get yourself up to 280, which means you're not getting one shot all the time. So, very nice there. And we do have Sharon's Karen format as well, right? So if you're going with that strategy, it's a colorless Pokemon. They hit into you, they don't knock you out. You just grab it up and slide your next one into the active and slap down the same energy in the tool, and away you go.
Yeah, and you have Penny as well, which is so it works with either of those.
That's true.
Penny is a little.
Yeah,
I know
better.
it's like kind of better, but then you also have like if they say damage and knocked out, well, Sharon's care could be insanely good.
Yeah, I'm thinking like I might want to try. I imagine I want to try an Arceus Terrapagos deck, right? A deck that already wants the double turbo in it, in which just some different,
Maybe,
and you get
yeah.
that nice V Star power. Right? Sometimes it might not be the way to go, but like the early Charizard decks just played the Arceus for the V Star power. The game moved on past that, but just having that to help set up might be something. But anyway, look, it's a very good attack. I think this the most hyped of the cards attackers for the new set.
I think so. Excuse me. It's probably the best. I've there's another attacker, Trapa EX, which I don't think is good. Some people like are saying this card's like super good. I
Y-
think it's like not good because
Okay,
it's like a basic, but it's a stage two, which is not good. But we might get to that later. But
yeah.
yeah, no. And then there's I don't know. I mean, there's like a bunch of like okay attackers in
So,
the
so
set,
th-
but
this is one of the premier, I think, cards in the set, and they're giving it to us free on the battle pass, which is very nice. Look, live has its issues. We're not going to just dive into that today, but the one nice thing is the economy and the fact that they give us one of the best decks for free, pretty much every set is a very good thing. So I think be thankful for that. And this is good. Ultimately, within a week or two, you're going to get a full play set even without spending any resources. So that's good. Shall we move on to some of the other cards in that deck?
yeah, I want to talk about Noctowl next. Or no, let's actually quickly talk about Buffalon.
Yeah,
Buffalon has the ability Curly Wall. By the way, I'm looking at proxies, which are translated, so hopefully the like ability and attack names are right, but a few might be wrong. But
yeah,
what they do should be right. But Buffalon here, it does have 100 HP, which is like good, but we can get that later. It doesn't matter that much. But the ability Curly Wall here, if you have another Buffalon in play, all your basic colorless Pokemon take 60 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. It
r-
does not stack though, but you get like two Boufflons in play, taking 60 less damage. That's really there for your Trap Ghost EX. There are some other things you can do with it as well. But all of a sudden you said you have Bravery Charm, you're boosting yourself up to 280. Now with 60 less damage, you're essentially at 340. That reminds me of a certain Darkness of VMAX. You're hitting literally the same damage as a turn, just ignoring the double turbo. And then you literally have essentially the same HP, which is kind of funny. But yeah, Trapghost EX is gonna be, I think, pretty tanky with the Buffalon. So that's like quite strong.
yeah. No, I like that a lot. Look, it's not a good attacker. It has an attack. It's not good on it, but
It's not terrible. It's 100 for or 130 for three, which isn't like, and then can't attack. It could be used in niche situations.
yeah. Look, I mean, having a single prize attacking option, you're probably going to have a double turbo on it. I am assuming, so you're going to do 110, which is okay, certainly. And sometimes just the prize math helps you out. They give you three. You get three copies of the starter set. I don't think you're going to want three copies ultimately in the deck, right? You just want one in the play on the bench for the walling
Well, you
effects.
need two.
Oh, you need two. That's right. So I guess maybe you
Yeah.
do play three.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like three is it's also kind of you could play there's another Buffon or there's at least one more Buffon in standard. Yeah, I think there's apparently there's two. I didn't know there's another Buffon. But so yeah, you could have a another Buffon. You could like do like splits of Buffons and stuff, which is like kind of interesting.
Right.
Um I think it is like a solid inclusion in the deck. It's not like super powerful though. As you said, it does kind of eat up um bench space. That's not like really an issue with the deck, but
Right.
maybe it could be, as we'll talk about some of the options. Like in the starter deck, we see Luminion V, Radiant Greninja, Pheasantipti EX. Those are all just kind of sitting on the bench, taking up bench space. Yes, you do want lots of bench Pokemon, but taking up deck space, bench space, essentially turns of or like forms of Pokemon search. So you need to decide is it worth it, but it is a solid card.
Yeah, just the other thing is because we are talking the new set with this new Buffalant, you always want to think what makes Snorlax better because that's everybody's favorite deck to play against, right? So if you play the new Buffalant and then you have the control Buffalant that does Lost Headbutt, does 50, you put an energy attached in the Lost Zone, and now you're buffing your Buffalant and you're buffing your Snorlax's HP, right? No, no, yeah, you're
Yeah, it takes less damage, but yeah, that's really good as well. I mean, the one issue is sometimes you don't want any other bench Pokemon other than Snorlax, but
right.
that's not a huge deal. I mean, having essentially 6 more HP is really nice because HP is definitely something that you value a lot in that deck.
And I think there's other control decks that have played the Buffalant besides Snorlax as well, right? I think to get rid of energy. So just maybe that's a thing there too. I don't know. So Buffalant, but then you wanted to talk about the Noctowl, correct? Being this is the exciting card, one of the most exciting cards in the set, I think. It's a stage one, and it's got the ability Jewel Hunt when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn. If you have any Terra Pokemon in play, and of course this is a Terrapagos EX Pokemon Stellar, which is stellar as well. It doesn't have to be stellar; it just can go in anything like Charizard or whatever you want. You can search your deck for up to two trainer cards, and put them in your hand. So very nice there. The same thing as what actually I was going to say Drizzile, but it's actually better than Drizzile. Drizzile was the stage one with a similar ability, but it only took search for one card. It was the Inteleon that searched for two, the stage two. So very nice there to search for any two trainers. Obviously, scoop up net's not in format, so you can't keep repeating it as well. I'm not sure what how if there's a good way to handle that aspect, but just searching for any two trainers once or twice with the course of the game, very nice.
Yeah, and so one thing with like Charizard, Dragapult, whatever, these like stage twos, maybe even stage ones, you cannot use Noctowl to set up your first stage two or stage one if you don't have some other stellar Pokemon on the bench, or sorry, Terra Pokemon on the bench,
Right.
like a Trapagos, an Ogerpon, whatever, things like that. So that's like one minor issue. It's not that big of an issue, but we see some decks. This is not an evolution deck. This is a basic deck, but Miraidon is playing Mewtwo EX, which has an attack that is bad. I mean, the attacks aren't like terrible, but you can't use them in the deck because they're psychic energy. But it is searchable off of Miraidon EX, and then it is a Terra Pokemon, and it is lightning, so that's cool. And then you can just go ahead, grab that. Then, actually, no, these aren't really being used for Noctowl, but they're being used for Area Zero Underdepths, which also has the same trigger of needing a Terra Pokemon in
Terror.
place. So you
Right.
can just put in like a random Terra Pokemon, which could be something like Trap Ghost, but it could be just some other thing as well.
Yeah. I don't think right now there's not a basic Terra Pokemon with like a really good ability, like Rotom V does, let's say, right? Like if there was a Rotom V type card that just had a great ability, or Lumion V, something that you might want to use, that would just make, if they print that at some point, then a card like this just goes through the roof, right? You slap all those cards in any deck and kind of do what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, well, there is well, TMS Ogre X is a solid ability, but then the one I'm
Yeah.
thinking of is going to be the Cornerstone Mask Ogre X, which does have very, very good ability. It's not Rotom V or Lumineon. It's like completely different. Um, it does have an ability that lets you wall off ability Pokemon, and that's really nice, allowing you to just have it on your bench and be safe, essentially, more or less.
Yeah.
So I think that is one. That's probably the Terra I'll be putting into decks. We'll see. There's another one. There's the Water Ogre, which I want to talk about later some. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
you can definitely just put stuff in.
yeah, I mean, this set is going to make the Cornerstone box type deck better too, amongst things. So we'll talk about the water one that gets a nice boost for sure. So yeah, but that yeah, having the Cornerstone mask, and obviously it can go in a lot of control style decks as well. So just a nice card. I assume you're excited about Noctowl and looking
Yeah.
for ways to slot into a lot of decks.
Yeah, I feel like it's not as good in control. Like you need to probably kind of loop it at that point,
Yeah,
because it's not every turn type of thing. I feel like Pidgeot EX is better. I feel like Noctowl's probably better than Arceus V Star. I mean they're not entirely comparable, but they're similar. Arceus, you're probably searching for trainers, maybe Pokemon, but you can probably just get a ball search card to get the Pokemon. Or then you'll also be searching for maybe Special Energy, which Noctowl doesn't get. But other than Special Energy, you can get well, you can actually get like Colossus Tenacity or something as well. But Noctowl is a really solid card just in general. But then you do have Scoop Up Cyclone, Professor Terra Scenario, things like that to allow you to loop it. They're not like amazing. I mean, Scoop Up Cyclone is really good, but it's an ace spec, so
right.
you might not want to be essentially wasting your ace spec on Noctowl, but it could be very good too.
Yeah, and Professor Turcinera is obviously nice, but you're using a supporter for turns. So some decks will probably try to take a look at that. The other uh, Pokemon in this set is Fan Rotom, which to me is not an
In
over
this deck.
in this deck. Yeah, sorry. Which I mean, this wasn't one I was really going to talk about. I don't know if it's got the interesting ability Fan Call on your first turn and only your first turn. You can use the ability search your deck for 3 Pokemon with 100 HP or less and put them into your hand. So interesting. It was what I'll say. I'm not sure how much use that's going to get.
Yeah, I think it's like I mean, it's a good ability. It allows you to search out the Buffalant. It allows you to search out Noctowl and Hoot Hoot. The thing I like about it, though, I've said this a few times on my channel, is that the attack your assault landing for one colorless does 70 if there's a stadium in play, and 70 for one is really solid.
Th-
We see,
yeah,
I think I was playing like a dark box style deck with like the loyal three of Armuni X, Darkrai V-Star, and, I had more Pico in the deck, and back-to-back games, which was, like, absurd that this happened back-to-back. I got donks with more Pico, which was really funny, but that's just a 70. It is 2, but this is only 1 energy. That's, like, pretty easy to pay. That's I mean, this is the easiest attack in the game to pay outside of, like, free attacks, right? Ignoring the, like, stadium thing, and having a stadium in play is, like, not that hard. It might be, like, a little awkward, but this does allow you to get a turn 1 knockout, which can actually be huge in games where, turn would knock it with a single prize as well, but can be huge in games where your opponent is playing with, say, like Dragapult, or Charizard EX, like Pidgeot EX. They may have one Pidgey, one Dreepy, one Charmander, something like that, and you can knock out their only copy of a certain basic, which is really good.
Right. I mean, yeah, like if you can take down your opponent's Pidgey, that's always awesome if they only have one in play. The downside is you're going to want to use the attack turn one usually, because obviously that's where you're using the ability. And can you get the stadium in play as well as switching to the active, right?
Yeah.
That'll be the hard part. You can obviously use it later in the game. It's less useful, I think, after turn one though. So but it's certainly an interesting card and something to think about for decks, right? And obviously, this is also the type of card to keep in mind as more things get printed over the next year or two, right? I'm sure there'll be some things that will give some interesting options with it as a card.
Yeah, it works with Ditto as well. Ditto's pretty fun. It's getting like a fun buff in this set. I've been looking, and then there's like looking at all the attackers, and they're like kind of mediocre. Doesn't have any great partners. I mean, Ditto's just not very good right now. Ignoring the fact that it like didn't work for a while, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think Ditto's gonna be fun. But yeah, and I think that is that all the Pokemon. Yeah, it plays the other
yeah.
knocked out. Like, why does it do that? But
Yeah, I mean they did it for because they give you one copy to start and then you get two copies as you go on. I guess they don't want to give you the full deck day one for which so that's why, because eventually I assume you're ditching the other Noctiles. I don't even know what they do, quite frankly.
yeah,
Um,
like it's not very good. It's not like the worst card ever, but it's not a good card. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely really excited for this. And then I guess we talked about Area Zero under depth some. I don't remember if we said exactly what it does, but it gives you an 8
no.
bench Pokemon if you have a Terra Pokemon in play. Terra Pokemon are, not super hard to come by, but they're not super like there aren't is it any with amazing like draw abilities. But you can get an 8 bench Pokemon. Also, I think a lot of people will be playing the stadium, so it might not be a bad idea to put a Terra Pokemon into your deck that like could go in, could not go in, because now it allows you to use the stadium. Keep in mind, if you're just playing down a useless Pokemon, then it is only giving you 2 extra bench slots because you're using up the third one with some Pokemon you don't need. But it also does allow you to, if the stadium gets bumped, or if your Stellar Pokemon, or sorry, if your Terra Pokemon leaves play, it allows you to go ahead and discard Pokemon from your bench, and so that can be used to heal you. It can do some like weird combo stuff too, I think. I haven't really thought about that too much and haven't heard too much about like weird discard combo stuff. But you can like expand and shrink your bench, I think. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, obviously, you can get rid of this with a Lost Vacuum or another stadium. You can't play two stadiums on the same turn. So if you wanted to, you could play down the stadium, put some more Pokemon on your bench, and Lost Vacuum away. Because there are several decks in the past, at least, that have taken advantage of Collapse Stadium, right? Primarily for the idea of you get rid of your squawk ability, you're limiting on something like that over the course of the games, largely for that issue. So it'll have value in those type of decks. If like the Terapagos decks becomes a big thing, having counters to the stadium is going to become important as too, for either from Lost Vacuum or obviously Collapse Stadium makes you go from 8 to 4 if your opponent's relying on that, and that's going to be pretty disruptive because, like I said, playing Eternatus, when your opponent played Chaotic Swell, that was the format back in the day. It wasn't always easy to fill up your bench the following turn every turn as well. In which case,
Wait,
just
do you mean Path?
Path to the Peak. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Yeah, Path to the Peak that shut
I
off
was
your.
like, what card are you talking about? Like,
That's
because
right.
Chaotic
Chaotic Swell
Swell.
was
That would be
was
bad
what
for this card.
right.
But
That's what protected you. Yeah, correct. So, but if you went from 8 to 5, you couldn't always get to 8 again. And if there's a lot of obviously Tropicos decks, which there probably will be in live, right? Everyone's getting it for free, so we're going to start seeing a lot of those decks pretty quickly. Having counter to that stadium may get you a fair ways along. So that's a nice just something to keep in mind there. And there's a lot of other decks that can do this. There is the Teal Mask Ogre Pawn, right? That's obviously a Terra Pokemon that is a basic as well. And if you're playing Grass Energy, you know how good that is. We all do. And you love to fill up your bench with four of them potentially. So now you don't have to worry about filling up your bench with them because you still have a bunch of extra bench slots if you need, so it'll open up some things there. And, looking forward to trying, I think, the Reggie's deck where you got to get all five or all six Reggies in play. You never had room for any other Pokemon. You could slap down a Terra Pokemon, and now you could actually get another attacker, which you can power up right with the Reggie's mechanic. So, there'll be some shenanigans that this will let us try out.
Yeah. Um, I definitely am really excited for this card. It's gonna be weird. It might not work in live. I definitely think I can. I mean, it's nothing like super crazy, but it's a little weird. So hopefully it works. But yeah. And then what else is in the deck? So we have well, we
We
got
have
Crispin.
Crispin, right, which is important.
Yeah,
That's a
I think this.
go on.
Uh, yeah, so it's a supporter, and it says you get to search your deck for two basic energies of different types. Keep in mind, you definitely want different types of energies, even if you like don't want to play different types, you like have to. And
Right.
then you put one of them into your hand, and then put the other and attach it to one of your Pokemon. If you only have one energy, it just goes to your hand, does not get accelerated.
Yeah.
This is a good card providing energy acceleration. I've even seen it in Japan. It's being played in what does it call it? It's being played in Raging Bull Ogre Pond as well as other things. It's being
Yeah.
played in like Dragapult. It's good in. Um,
Right.
I don't know. You could play it in like lots of different things. The big thing's Dragapult, but other decks it's good in too.
Right, because it gives you energy acceleration. It's not just for Terra Pokemon or anything like that. Obviously, the different types is really good for these stellar Pokemon, but energy acceleration is just a good thing. So having another option for that, um, it's a nice thing, right? I mean, we all, decks that play electric generator and stuff, we know how important energy acceleration is. So it just opens up energy acceleration to any type of deck that now, which isn't the norm. So it's nice for that.
Yeah. It kind of encourages you to play two different types. Like you could just slot in some random other energies. For example, there's
Yeah.
the Roaring Moon deck, I guess, which just sometimes plays water energies, but the water energies don't have that much value in the deck, but they're there, just kinda 'cause you need extra energy types, and they do have some value, but I feel like it's not great. And it's like it's to power up Radiant Greninja, but it's hard to do. But then you have, something like I think I saw a deck that was like Charizard EX, Greninja EX or something, some, like, pretty crazy things, but it's really good for, stellar Pokemon, and it's good
Yeah.
for dragon Pokemon as well. And that's why
Right.
Dragonbolt likes it, Raging Bolt likes it, Trumbull EX, Dragonbolt EX, and, Regidraco V-Star as well really likes it, as, like, a solid supporter that actually gets energy and isn't Gardenia's Vigor because that card's kinda bad.
Oh, come on. It's better than 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 Welder, but no, it's not. It's not
Yeah,
that good.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm wondering here if you could try it slap a copy into a Lost Zone deck. Probably not because colors is so key. But you get early game if you can't get your 7 cards in the Lost Zone fast enough. You can't use Mirage Gate. So this is a way to get that second energy accelerated, and you may have multiple attackers that need that, right? So maybe a copy could go on something like that too. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure.
definitely think it could slot into lots of different decks. It's a supporter, I think of it a little underrated. I think it's like a good supporter. I mean, I don't think it's the best supporter in the set. I think it's the second best supporter in the set. And is the other one here? It is, but I think you get one copy. Anyway, so but I want to talk about the second supporter now, which is Brier. This one, unless you have more to say about Crispin, any like
No, no, I
crazy
don't
decks.
think so. I guess is it Briere or Brier? But I
Oh,
don't.
it might be Briar. Yeah. But
So
anyways, it doesn't matter. It
no.
does, but whatever. So this it's a supporter that says you can only play this if your opponent has exactly two prizes remaining. But then until the end of this turn, if your opponent's active is knocked out by damage from one of your Terra Pokemon's attacks, take one more prize. So this helps Charizard EX, Dragapult EX, of course, Trapgos EX, or any of the new Stellar Pokemon. The big thing is Charizard and Dragapult, though, and this just gives them essentially an extra prize throughout the game, especially if you're playing Charizard or Dragapult with Dusknoir, allow you to make sure you can hit that two prize turn from your opponent. Theoretically, you could play this multiple times if your opponent doesn't take any prizes. That's unlikely, especially because they're going to really try to take an extra prize. If even just one prize,
Right.
even if it's not going to help them too much, it will at least slow you down some.
Right, because with the games generally, mostly you're taking a lot of two prize knockouts, so you don't want to take the one prize knockout because that becomes four knockouts to win the game instead of three. But now getting to the odd number of prizes might become something you keep in mind. We might need to intentionally take that single prize knockout because getting down to two prizes remaining might be a bad thing to get into. Like you talked about those evolution decks, but then you also you talked about having the Dusknoir to control it, right? Because the evolution stage twos evolve from stage one, so your opponent can gust up a stage one at some point to get onto the odd prize trade. The other thing I think is good in is just big basic decks. If you have a deck that's just running stage two prize Pokemon, right? Um, that's nice as well, right? So
Yeah,
hey,
obviously needs to be so, like, Reasonable Ogrepon's playing it, which was not something I was expecting, um, because, I mean, the main attacker isn't what's it called? A Terra, but,
right.
your secondary attacker is so you can just use that, apparently, that's what people are using, you one-shot whatever, right? You can one-shot a single prizer and then take 2 prizes, and that's just really good.
Right. So it'll we'll see what it is. It's an interesting card, I think. So I don't know that it's better than Crispin. I don't know that it's going to be more useful. You think this is the best supporter in the set, right? Based on what you said.
I do. Yeah, I think it is the best supporter. I think it just, like, wins games. Taking extra prizes is always really good, assuming it's something that, like, kinda works with good decks, which it does. So, both are good, though.
The Blood Moon Ursaluna EX is not a Terra Pokemon, right?
No, just a normal EX. Yeah.
So it'll be finding. See what I'm figuring I want to do is I want to play this in a deck with the Slowbro that if they're down to one prize, I take two prizes. So now I don't have to worry. I don't only have to get to one. I can do something special at one prize, two prizes. Get more silly shenanigans in a game. The better it
Yeah, you
is.
can play with the, the Houndstone with 2 Ferocious. Wait, yeah, 2 Ferocious, which says if your opponent has exactly 2 or 4 prizes remaining, it does 120 more damage. So, yeah, quality stuff there. But, yeah, no, I think both these supporters are really good. We might get to the other supporters later, but, then we have Glass Trumpet, I think is the last new card from
Yes, yeah,
this
it's the
deck.
last of the new cards in the deck. This is an item, and this is another card.
Sorry, is the Ace Spec in it, or is it in the other one?
Oh, it's a good question. Let me take
Oh,
a
I don't
look.
think it's here. Okay, well, we'll talk about that later. Um,
Yeah, the A spec is in one of these decks, so which isn't surprising, right? They don't like to do that.
I guess. I feel like they sometimes give it out later, though. Anyways, so we got Glass Trumpet here, though, which is a supporter card. No, it's not a supporter. It's an item card.
Yeah,
If you have a Terra Pokemon in play, choose up to 2 of your bench colorless Pokemon, which do not need to be Terras. They can be whatever. And attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to each of them. This is really nice. I compare it a lot to Mirage Gate, an item that accelerates 2 energies. There are a few interesting combos. Of course, it's very good with Terrapagos, but the other thing is to me, like something that's really cool, you can accelerate to Blissey EX. Blissey EX is
right.
it's an EX obviously, but it has its ability that lets you move the energies off of it or really anywhere, but you accelerate 2 energies to 2 different Blissey EXs and then move them off to whatever attacker you want. Like say Galvantula EX, which we'll talk about, but I think that will be the best way to play Galvantula EX because it's just essentially it's not free energy acceleration anywhere, but it's pretty cool. It's really good.
Yeah, the Blissey is definitely a thing, and I believe within one of these decks, I think they give you some Blissies at some point. I think.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it does.
And
Gives
is
you a 2/2 Blissey line in the Galvantula EX deck.
yeah. So that
And does give you Glass Trumpet as well, which is kinda weird because wait, do they both give you Glass Trumpet?
this you get
Uh,
four in the free
yeah.
deck, and then you get two copies or you get three copies eventually. I think in the premium, you start with zero. And I
Let's
think
play Big Air Balloon. Okay, sorry.
yeah, though honest, when we look at we'll talk briefly about the premium deck. There's not as much there. They've done like they always do, where the or most of the time the basic deck's really good, and then the premium deck that people pay resources are. You should get it. It's just good for your collection, but it's a much weaker deck, right, with some weird choices usually. But anyway, the Glass Trumpet, this is a very fun type of card. It gives a lot of options. You can build different box style decks with different energy types, so like that a lot. And now I'll have to go to expanded. I'll play some Bliss EV with this because you just want to slap those energies on as fast as possible, right? So now we can do
Yeah,
that.
but there's an issue, or there's a few issues. One, you need a Terra Pokemon. That's not that hard to do. But
Yeah.
the second one, you need two. Don't play that many Blissey Vs. So you need multiple Blissey Vs on the bench. But then you probably also have one in the active. But normally you'll just have like two in play or something.
Well, I need one
So
Bliss EV in the active. I need a couple Bliss EXs on the bench, right?
yeah. Also, the deck's mostly like special energy, isn't it? So it
Well,
does have
look,
some use.
I know, I look. It's probably a silly notion, but look, there's fun things you can do with Glass Trumpet in a lot of ways, and of course, with the stadium that gives us an expanded bench, you can slap a Terra Pokemon in the deck anyway, and still not fill up your bench space. So you can use that just kind of play like two basics Terra Pokemon, and if you're not sure if it's really just for support, maybe play the Teal Mask Ogerpon, right? Because when you get the Grass Energy in hand, you accelerate that and draw a card as well. So it opens up possibilities, which is always fun.
Yeah, and then Ditto. I think Ditto's gonna be really fun. I mentioned Ditto with maybe I mentioned Ditto with Glass Trumpet. No, I think I mentioned it with Fan Rotom, but you could use it with
Yeah.
Glass Trumpet. That's gonna help it out a lot.
That's true. Ditto boxes are a lot of fun. So now getting the energy in play has been pretty brutal up to this point. So yeah, I mean that can make it viable. So potentially, maybe, but yeah, that's a fun notion there too. Um,
Yeah, but I want to talk about Sparkling Crystal now. This one also helps out Trap Ghost. Don't know if it'll be the ace spec of choice in the deck, but certainly could be. And it's simply a tool, an ace spec tool, which I think is we have seen before, but they haven't been like super good. They've been solid, but nothing amazing. But this one I think is amazing. The attack cost of the Terra Pokemon this card is attached to can be reduced by one of any energy type, which is pretty big.
yes.
We're seeing Counter Game being reprinted in the next sets and it's coming later than this, but it reduces by a colorless. But no, this is by any type, so that's really good.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal because we have the stellar Pokemon that obviously it's intentionally with this set that need three different energies. So now you just need two different energies, and we do have energy acceleration with a supporter and with Glass Trumpet. So it makes these stellar Pokemon a lot more viable, which is good. And obviously this is also pairs with Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. I know you mentioned that earlier on, so you want to talk about that now?
Yeah, so Wellspring Master Ogerpon EX has two attacks. This is kind of weird. There was a ruling on this, but the first one, Sob, is it's a good attack, but nothing like super crazy here that we need to talk about that hasn't been said before. But Torrential Pump here for Water Colorless, it does 100, and you can shuffle 3 energy attach this Pokemon into your deck. If you do, this attack also does 120 to 1 year points bench Pokemon. However, it's 3 energy, 2 of which are
Right.
colorless, but you reduce it by 1 water with the tool. Then you attach your double turbo. You can now use this attack, which does the 100 to the active, and it does 80 to the active with the double turbo. I'm pretty sure. I assume it's the same
Yeah.
as Greninja EX. And then
And then 100 to
oh,
the
and
bench
yeah,
with a
100
double
to the
turbo.
bench. And then you get rid of the double turbo, shuffle it into the deck. You don't discard it. The big issue with that is that you if your opponent like lost owns the tool, you literally can't attack like ever again if you don't play any water energies. But whatever. But then you can use this and just go ahead and start really destroying your opponent's bench. And you don't need the 3 energy. There, as I said, there's a ruling on that, so it's been confirmed. I think it's because of the Japanese wording. It's a little confusing in English. It's not entirely intuitive, but I think it's
Well,
really cool. I think it could be played in like a deck like Dragapult, to allow you to apply a lot of active pressure. But I just think it's a cool card in general.
yeah, look, honestly, I don't think it's even confusing. I think the way it's written in English sounds like it shouldn't work with the tool. It says you may shuffle three energy into it if you do, and you know what, you're not shuffling three energy. But it's an official ruling by Pokemon, so it does work. I just don't think it makes sense with it. It doesn't match up well with the wording, but it
Yeah, it's a little
works.
weird. It's like the Greninja EX thing, kind of. I mean, Pokemon, it's a little weird, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, but yes, you can use this attack turn one, and obviously a lot of decks like to play for Arvin, so you get that. Do have to get double turbo into hand turn one as well, so that's or have some of the other energy acceleration. I don't know if you can pull how easy that's going to be to pull off. You do have what the item to no, that's only to what that's to Terra Pokemon, right? The Glass Trumpet, is that right?
No, it's just a
Oh,
colorless
just to
Pokemon.
Terra. Okay, so that
So
doesn't work with that. You'd have to have like energy switch as well. But so you have to get the double turbo. That's gonna be tricky, but you can take out a lot of times. If like they're playing a Charizard deck, they probably just have two Charmanders, or they're not going to get down like they're always going to have a poke when you're targeting your opponent. You want to take out the basic they only have one of right now. Now you can take out a basic they have two of to start the game, and that's really good, right? So you can get rid of the two Pidgeys, you can get rid of the two Charmanders, you can get rid of the two what's the baby Dragapult?
Yeah, Droopy.
You're going to take out two Dreepy, something like that potentially. So it is potentially going to be potentially very impactful.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a cool card. The Sparkling Crystal. You can use it with the Fighting Ogre Pond as well. The Lost Vacuum thing isn't a massive issue with this one because you'll be getting off an attack. You will be getting off an attack with the Fighting one too, but you really need to do sustained attacks to have solid value there. I mean, the ability is good nonetheless, but to get solid value out of attacking you to attack over and over again, you can
Right.
apply constant pressure with that. But you could still use it there. And then also the thing I love about it, I think it's the best tool of the generation so far. And then of course we have Force Seal Stone, which was last. I mean, it's still in standard.
Yeah.
So with those two tool cards, you now have two tools that are like really really good value. Right now people are playing Arvin mostly just for Force Seal Stone. Um, and Force Seal Stone's really good, right? I'm just going to pull up this control list. This one does play Hero's Cape, which is solid. It's a good tool. And then it plays like Bravery, Charm, Defiance, Vest, TM Devolution, which are all like solid tools, but nothing insane. But Forest Seal Stone's like really good. If you look at a deck like say Miraidon that plays four Seal Stone,
Mm-hmm.
it plays four Arvins, plays four Seal Stone, two copies, which you can even use both Bravery Charm and Rescue Board. And Rescue Board's like a solid tool as well. I think that's a solid one. It kind of acts like Switch, but the Terrace Crystal, or sorry, Sparkling Crystal, in some decks, not like Miraidon, but in certain decks, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a very nice ace spec that's going to come into play in a number of decks. So I like it a lot. Yeah, it opens up the Ogre Pond box deck also, with that, which is a nice thing. It just it gives you options, so I like it. Yeah, it's definitely on my highlight list from this set. So, any other? Why don't we just talk briefly on the other deck on the battle pass? There's just two cards to talk about, and it's Gavantula
There's
EX.
two.
Well,
Oh, the Joltik is.
in the Joltik. Yeah, so you're forgetting that. So the Gavantula, which can be, it's a stage one, 260 HP, so a little low, but not horrible. It two attacks, charged web for lightning colorless, does 110. But if your opponent's active Pokemon's an EX or a V, it does 110 more. So 220 for two energy. You can have the tool to attack for one energy. So that's quite nice there, right? And as a lightning Pokemon, you can use Electric Generate to get an energy on as well. So that helps with either attack, paying the cost there as well, having the generator as another option in the deck. So not bad, right? To be able to take out a basic EX or V. But then the interesting attack, which is the tough one because it's three energies, it's the grass, lightning, fighting. It does 180 damage, not a bad number. But then what's nice is the good and the bad is you discard all energy from this Pokemon, so that's definitely the bad. But during opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from hand, and of course, we all love playing against item lock.
Yep. And I'm pretty sure not all the stellar attacks do 180 damage. Although the Cinderace EX is a stellar attack, it does do 180 damage as well. But Lapris's doesn't. So yeah, it's kind of weird that three of the four do 180 with their 3 energy attack. But yeah, no, it's a solid attack. I mean, if you can like do it every turn, it's probably the best attack in the game. And there are ways to power it up. There's like Blissey, there's the Joltik, which we'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So Garganacl. The Garganacl is not that bad. Garganacl is a really fun card, but it's not great. But yeah, you want to talk about the Joltik. I think the Joltik's okay. I know
No,
some people think this card's like broken.
well, look, it just needs to get mentioned. It's in the deck. It's what Gavantula evolves from. So that's
Galvantula. Wait, what are you saying?
I don't know. The
It seems
Jolt.
like you were cutting out the L. Anyway,
Oh,
whatever. It's really bad.
Gavantula. Anyway, the Joltik here, it's 30 HP, so that's not great. And obviously, if you're up against Dragapult or Regidrago, they can do that. They take out two of these guys in one turn. That's plus smacking your active. But battery charge for one energy. You search your deck for two basic grass energies, so it's made for a deck that's lightning and grass generally, and you put and up to two lightning energies attaching Pokemon any way you like, so you can accelerate. Basically, you get yourself powered up for the rest of the game with this, right? You get two grass and two lightning on two of your Joltix on the bench, and then you can just evolve, play the Gavantula from hand, and attach the fighting energy, or have the tool, and you can attack. So maybe this is an evolution deck that wants to go second. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think oh, speaking of the Regidrago thing, they can actually attack with a V as well, like if you go first, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I do think going second could have value. Then you're giving your opponent, like if they're playing Charizard, they can rare candy into their Charizard, and then like that doesn't seem like it's gonna end well. I mean, you can like one shot their Pidgeot, but um
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
that's true. If you want to item lock a rare candy deck, you want to get it item locked before they have a chance to play rare candy. But it's going to be tough to power up the Gavantula on your second turn if you go first consistently, right? You only get to play one supporter over the course of those two games, and also your setup. It just may be too inconsistent, is what I'll say for that.
Yeah, but it is a nice card and a nice addition to the deck, and one that I think will be cool.
Yeah, look, it's not the best thing. I think the Terrapagos deck is a whole lot better than the Galvantula deck. To me, I don't think there's much doubt about that. I just think Galvantula it's going to be awkward to power up because you're really going to need to take advantage of the second attack, I think, to win games with it often enough. So we'll see about that.
Yeah.
Um, all right, do you want me to pick some cards to name, or you want to call out some?
Yeah, no, I think you can go.
All right, so what did I have here? I'm looking at a slightly different. Oh no, I scrolled too far. All right, there's
Should I pick cards?
the Crat Cradilli or whatever that one is. Hang on.
Fidelity, the
Yeah,
stage two fossil. Wait, which I have heard. I don't know if this is true. I think it's true. You can so it evolves from
the
it evolves from like some fossil card. It evolves from
antique root fossil
yeah.
is the
Well, I think you
basic.
can also evolve from or you can rare candy from the unidentified fossil as well, which is interesting.
Oh, from any fossil?
No, but you can do it from
Just
unidentified fossil because unidentified fossil from I don't know. There's some
oh, there's something
lily
ruling or
which evolves from like an unidentified fossil. Yeah, from cosmic eclipse. So supposedly, I don't know if this is still true.
um,
I saw someone in Discord say this in my Discord server. As I say, it's like kind of weird. It seems like why can this card evolve from something that's like not in the game, but definitely could be. So
I mean, it seems like it should only work if it's still in format, right? Which that stage one is not in format, right? That evolves from a
yeah,
fossil. There's a Lelip that from unidentified fossil. So certainly an expanded should work. I don't I would think. I guess. Um, it
yeah,
shouldn't
it's
seem.
just like weird.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a ruling on that or not. So it evolves from a fossil, so it's tough to do. But on what it does is the ability mucus buffet. You flip a coin, and you can do it once per each Cradilly you have in play. And if it's heads, you choose a burn, confuse, or poison and apply it to that opponent's Pokemon. And then for one grass energy, does 100 damage per special condition. So you just fill up your bench with these on turn two. Flip four coins, get a couple special conditions. You're doing 100. You're doing like 200 or 300 damage for one energy. And what's wrong with that, right?
Yeah, just nice and easy like that. Or their stage two fossil.
Yeah, it's a little awkward there.
If you can play like 8 basics, then this could be really good, or it could be like solid. Um, I do want to bring us to in antique fossil. No, what's it? Antique root fossil, real quick.
Yes.
And it has an ability which is really good in my opinion. As long as it's in the active, your opponent's basic Pokemon's attacks cost one colorless more. If you're up against Trapgos, Raging Bolt EX, whatever, there are lots of decks that attack for that are basic attackers. So yeah, I mean, I think it's actually a really good ability, which is like weird, but I think it's good.
Yeah, that's true. So perhaps in some control style deck, because then and then you're confusing your opponent when you evolve to the stage two. Maybe there's something you can try with that. I'm not sure. So flipping coins is fun, right? That's what I'd say. So it'll be awkward. So you probably don't want to talk about that anymore here, right?
No, I mean, I think I'm just gonna play the basic without the evolutions, but
Well, you got to give the stage two a try, I think. But
maybe I might just play the stage 1, which retreat locks them.
okay. So another grass Pokemon. What about Eldegoss, which of course evolves from Gossifleur? Do you have any love for that? It
So it's attack here. Put this Pokemon all cards attached into your deck. I guess shuffle that. And then if you do, oh yeah, if you do search for 3 cards, put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of bad. Well, so you played with, and we both played with a little bit with the Tatsugiri,
Yes.
from Paradox Rift, I think. Yeah, and then it lets you search for 2 cards from your deck, and then you switch it with one of your bench Pokemon. So it's still hit and run,
Right.
and it's also optional. And then it gets 2 cards, which is less, but it is a basic, so that's probably better. And then
Right.
it doesn't like leave play, which is generally leaving play is like not a good thing because you need to get it set up like every turn you want to attack with it. So I think Tatsugiri is just better than Eldegoss, just generally, not always, but generally it is 1 colorless as opposed to 2 as well. But I think Tatsugiri is a better version. I think Eldegoss is like kind of fun, but not quite good enough. This
Okay.
set also has like a ton of control cards. I just want to say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they've Pokemon's that they have that weirdest love-hate relationship with control cards, right? And control decks. Because like even like the tournament structure, they've gone and they've made it even a little tougher for control players, I think, and such. But they keep printing all these cards, right? That just give control because that's what Eldegoss goes in. To me, you put in a control deck or a wall style deck, and of course we have the Pokemon that walls off from its ability, Pokemon with abilities and things like that. So you could just Eldegoss and you send up what the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. You can just send up your Snorlax, things like that, and you're getting 3 cards per into your hand. So it's I think it's worth messing around with in some control or wall style deck.
Yeah, it could be played. You mentioned Snorlax. Yeah, and I said earlier that you want to get other Pokemon out of play, so then that could be a good combo. But I feel like it is a little bit niche there.
Yeah, I mean
Very niche, not just a little niche.
it is. So it's there's the Hydrapple that you mentioned at the start, right? So that's the other of the grass Pokemon. So I think we need to talk about that a little bit.
Well,
It's a
okay, I want to say the Dipplin first. This one's actually pretty good as well. For 1 grass, does 20, and you're immune to damage from any basic Pokemon next turn, which is also like kind of good, and it's pretty cheap. So another like wall stall card here.
Right, and of course there's the Dipplin with the Festival Lead ability that you can play, and then you can use it with the what you might call it,
The Thwackey.
the Thwacky. So you could go that route with this deck too. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, one thing I do want to say, I don't know if anyone was wondering this, but you cannot, as far as I'm aware, play Relicanth to give Hydrapple the festival lead. Wait, no, that's an ability, not an attack.
Right.
So ignore. Wait, no. Um, what is it? I don't remember. It's yeah, no, that's an ability. So it doesn't matter. But even if it was an attack, you couldn't do that for something like Swim Freely, which is what I was thinking of. But yeah.
But the Relicanth is a good idea. I hadn't thought of that. So because now if you get Relicanth in play and you have to manually you don't rare candy, but you evolve manually from the Dipplin, I can have my 330 HP Pokemon and make it immune to attacks from basic Pokemon. So I might slap a Relicanth in the Hydrapple deck anyway, right?
Yeah, that
Just for
could be good.
fun. But so what does it do? So the Hydrapple, it's a stage 2. Ripe charge ability. Once during your turn, you can attach a basic grass energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. If you do, it heals 30. So, and obviously we have the Ogerpon, the Teal Mask Ogerpon. So there's decks that just love having lots of grass energy, accelerating it. That draws your card. This is another way to go that heals 30. So, and obviously you can heal. It can go to itself or something the active. So you can stack this, right? You can do it 4 times. So you can accelerate 5 energies in one turn, and you don't have the downside of Fortress EX knocking itself out. So this is better than Fortress EX. I think
I agree. This is better than Fortress EX.
see, I knew you'd agree with me on that one, right? So that this takes Fortress EX up to the next level. It's a stage 2. That's the awkward part. But then it does pair with the attack on this. It does 30 plus 30 more for each grass energy attached to your Pokemon, to all your Pokemon. So, and obviously you have this, and then you have your Teal Mask Ogerpons. You're getting like infinite energy in play in one turn here. So,
Yeah, and this is definitely going to be consistent. Having like, see, I feel like So Teal Master Ogre X is a good card, right? I think
yes.
it's a little worse than I think average, but then what other people think it is, I think it's still very good though. It might actually be like the most played card in the game or something like that. But anyway, So it has its ability, which is it's pretty similar to Hydrapple EX. I'd say it's better than Hydrapple EX. Healing isn't that meaningful, right? Especially only 30. Um,
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
and so drawing a card's better. And then you have an attack. The attack on Hydrapple is probably um I'd say it's a little better than the Teal Master Ogre Pawn EX because it's all your Pokemon. However, you
Right.
do have the downside of that it doesn't do more damage for energy attached to your opponent's active. So honestly, in the early game, the Ogre Pawn's better, but for most of the game, Hydrapple is a little bit better, but only a little bit. So between the attack and the ability, I feel like they're pretty similar in power level. And then Hydrapple does have a bunch more HP. It has 120 more
Right.
HP. But is that really worth being like a stage two instead of a basic? Like I feel like it's like a basic Pokemon. I think I said this earlier. It's a basic it's the power level of a basic, but it's on a stage 2, which is it's a good basic, but, I don't know. I feel like it's,
Eh,
a bit weak.
Here's the arguments for it on the plus side. Your points are good. It's a stage 2, and that's a big problem, right? I grant you that. The ability's better though, in that the healing's not probably as meaningful, but although if you're up against Dragapult EX decks, then getting that chasing away that damage is good. But you can exert the energy to any Pokemon, whereas the Ogerpon only exerts to itself, right?
Yeah, straight.
That has benefit, and it does work. It does have the Diplin, right? The stage 1 to give some walling along the way, so that's nice having that flexibility in the deck. So I look, I don't think it's become a great deck. I will say because stage 2 decks generally aren't great unless they're like have to have some. Because look, this is not as good, I don't think, as Dragapult EX probably.
Yeah, or Charizard. I think it's more comparable to Charizard.
But
Um,
Charizard is great in that it powers itself up. This kind of does, but Charizard actually does powers itself up because you don't need the energies in hand even. So, and it does more damage unless you have a bunch of turns or a lot of stage 2s to kind of get this going. So, I mean, you're going to play this and you're going to play the Teal Mask Ogerpon in some type of a split. I would assume, right? And I
yeah,
guess
but
that,
then I feel like you're just gonna be sitting here, it's like, "Oh, wow, I got this, like, good basic and this, like, bad stage 2," like, then you're
but
just gonna cut the stage 2 or something.
But you have the stadium, right? Because that's the Ogerpon is a Terra Pokemon, so we now can get all of our Teal Mask Ogerpons in play, and we can try to get all of our Hydrapples in play also, right? So now you can have that video as a content creator that you get 9 energies in play one turn. You accelerate 8 from hand, and you attach one manually, right? And
I mean,
that's
you could
you
just
want that.
but, no, but you could just double Fortress, and then you get 10 energies in play, though. So, I think we've flipped the script. Fortress is better than Apple now.
All right. So look,
Um,
I haven't heard a lot of hype on Hydrapple, but I haven't been listening to people as much as you. But I think look, it's worth some attention, is what I'd say.
yeah, I wanna say one more card. I don't know if you have too many other cards,
Okay.
but I would talk about Salazzle. This card I think is really good. I think it's kinda broken, honestly. It's a bit attackier for 2 colorless. You discard 1 card, or your opponent discards a card from their hand, but if you evolved from the basic during this turn, from your hand, I believe, uh no, actually, I don't know if it needs to be from your hand, but anyway, it probably is from your hand. Then your opponent discards 3 cards from their hand, but you compare this with sometimes you just have 3 cards in hand, but they'll probably try not to if they see this coming. But then you can play the supporters, Rosix Machinations, and then attack, and then you just get rid of their entire hand, which is like really, really good. You can do this turn 2 going first, and then you just kind of, I mean, I feel like you just kind of win at that point, unless they have a barrel or Mew EX in play. If they have something like Draco or Curlier, they can certainly get out of it some, but they're kind of it's a little bit awkward. But certainly, and then they could always like top deck, but that's I mean, if they're relying on them, if they're relying on top decking, that's really sketchy. So I think Sizel is really good.
Um. Yeah. No, I think that I was kind of wasn't fully listening. I was just getting a couple cards I want to hit because I know you want to wrap it up quickly. I imagine. So. Yeah. No. It's an interesting one. This Salazzle. So. Um.
Best card in the set. No, I think it's one of the best cards in the set. I don't think it's like as good as some of the other ones, like Sparkling Crystal and like Noctowl, but I think it's very good. I think it's top 10.
It's pretty interesting, I'll say. So I'm not sure how good it's going to be, but yeah. Look, this is like you said at the start. It's a good set. So let me quickly mention a couple Pokemon here. Lapras EX, which has the absurd attack, Larimar Rain. I don't know how you say that for water. Psychic Metal. You look at the top 20 cards of your deck, attach any number of energy cards, including special energies, any way you want to your Pokemon. So that's just kind of absurd. I don't know there's any sense that that's good in any way, but it's
Yeah, did you say the attack cost? I don't think you did. It's water psychic metal,
okay.
which is like unpayable kind of, right?
It is right, and you have to. Well, you have your support. You have those things, right? That the
Yeah,
tool,
and
the
and
in the supporter and the item, but it's
well, no,
pretty
you can only use the supporter and the tool because
okay.
the item only goes to colorless Pokemon.
Oh, you're right. I keep forgetting that. So, but I'll have
It's
energy
weird.
switch
It's
too.
weird.
Don't worry.
It's
Or I'll
weird.
already have. So anyway, it's just this silly thing. I'm not there'll be some silliness with it, but that's about it. There's Crabominable. This one I like a lot. It's my kind of card for my kind of deck. It's a stage one, so I think stage ones are pretty easy to get and play for the most part. Haymaker does 250 for 5 energy, but it's got ready to cook ability. The attack cost is 1 less energy for each Kofu you have in your discard pile. So we get to break out the Kofus, and so you get all 4 of those in the discard pile. You're doing 250 for 1 water energy. Can't attack the next turn, but that's okay. So I think that's just a fun thing to mess around with,
Yeah.
and that's all you want to say about that, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's not great. It's okay. There's a bunch of like kind of funny like meme cards. I think Corvallis not like the worst card ever or anything like that, but
It's fun to
it's
mess
not great.
around with. There's the Veluza that's a worse that also goes probably a copy of that in that same deck. That's just a worse copy of the
Abominable.
Lost
Oh,
Zone
Cramorant.
of
Yeah. It's
Cramorant.
like
So
yeah. Well, it does hit weakness. It has more HP.
yeah.
But yeah, it's
So
not great, but it's okay.
there's Electivire, which is another appealing. That's a very appealing card. Another stage one. I love single price stage ones, and I'm always confused when they don't work. So I'm sure this one won't work.
Yeah, but no, this one, no, it's like attacks so good. It says no, so it does 220 for 2 energy, which is really solid.
Yeah.
It's not like super broken, but it's solid for 2 lightning. And then during your next turn, you can't attack like at all. None of your Pokemon can attack. And then for some reason in parentheses it says this includes Pokemon that come into play that turn. Like I don't know. That seems like a random thing to put in parentheses because like I
Yeah.
mean yeah, but also like I don't know. But yeah, so you can only attack every other turn with this Pokemon.
It's pretty odd. I mean, I guess you'd need to switch into Snorlax in between turns or something. I don't know. What
Yeah, or
you
some
do,
other wall.
some
Yeah.
walling thing. So it's very silly. And then there's Slow King. I will say that. And that this is an interesting one, right? Inspiring challenge for Psychic Colorless, and we have Zatu, and that powers these things up very easily. We know that from having tried that
Yeah.
out. It's a strategy, right? But
Yeah, you can use Guard for EX as well.
yes. So yeah, there's better ways than that. But inspiring challenge for the 2 Psychic Colorless, discard the top card of your deck. If that card is a Pokemon without a rule box, choose one of that Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. And we have the ability to control what's on the top of our deck. If we have something in our hand, we can slap it back on top of our deck. And of course, we do have the whatever that stadium's called, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Night. Was it Academy at Night or something?
Yeah, something like that. And then with Night Stretcher, you can get that same Pokemon back into your hand the following turn, so you can stream things. So it lets you for 2 energies copy the attack of any Pokemon with a rule box, which can be a stage 2. So that opens up potentially some interesting options. Could be better than your old favorite Zoroark, right?
Yeah. I mean, I thought Zoroark was theoretically fun, but also it was kind of bad. It was weird, but a lot of the attackers ended up being pretty boring, unfortunately. But it was a conceptually cool deck. Um, and then yeah, there's some like other kind of fun cards, just Comfy, which can like mill. Do you have any other cards you want to talk about?
Nothing I have to talk about. What's the Let me look at the trainers real quickly. Go ahead. You have something to say?
There's the Drift Bloom with Everyone Explode Now, which is like funny. I mean, it's not good, but it's funny. It has some like kind of meme potential. There's Rhyperior, which is a pretty good wall. Oh, there's Dash Bunny X, which is like Cheryl, the supporter, but it's an on-play evolution ability,
Oh yeah.
which is arguably pretty good. In terms of trainers, there's Gravity Stone, which increases for tree cost. There's 2 new ace specs, Great Trees and OK ace spec. It's like rare candy, but a stadium, which is like super weird, like to say, but that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think great tier I wanted to mention. It helps you evolve, so that's obviously a good thing. How much play it will see, I'm not sure. It'll be interesting there, and it might win. I think it wins the award for most text describing what a card does. Certainly from this set because it's got a lot of words printed on it.
Yeah, this is the translation though, so we'll see exactly how much text it will have on like the actual card. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So and there's other cards that are good, interesting. So it's I think we have this is a good set, bringing a lot to the game, which is what we always want to see. And of course, the current top decks, probably to a large extent, they always end up staying as the top decks. One of the good strategies to playing on live or whatever is people are going to try the new decks more so than they warrant because it's the new thing. So if you can counter the new deck, that's one way to see a lot of success early on until people kind of settle into what the best decks are. Something to keep in mind there.
Yeah. There's sorry, I'm just like looking through. There's a bunch of like good cards. There's a Raging Bolt, which is like a kind of nice addition to Raging Bolt Ogre Pond. There's a Cling Clang, which counters Chimpap Excalibur. There's an Archaludon, which is kind of fun, but we'll talk about that certainly later. And then, or we probably will. There's some cards to Lugia that are like okay. There's this fun Iron Boulder, but it's nothing insane. There's a Charger Bug, which is like this fun meme deck with a card that's currently out. There's a Dreadnought, which is a good wall. There's Cinderace EX, one it's the only stellar we didn't mention, which is kind of cool. There's Lydian, which is like a gusting Pokemon, not the strongest, but it's okay.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's just a bunch of really, really solid cards. Nothing like there are some cards that are super good, and there's a bunch of cards that are pretty solid as well, like mid tier to low tier cards, but like playable cards.
Yeah, I think that's a good. Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. There's a lot of cards that are worth trying out, and have some fun with, see what you can do, and some of them will turn out to be at least viable decks. So Lacey's a supporter, I guess that might see some play too, right?
Yeah, shuffle draw 3 or shuffle draw 8 if your opponent's taken 3 prizes already. Or sorry, shuffle draw 4 or shuffle draw 8. So it's an okay supporter. Shuffle draw 8 is like good. Shuffle draw 4 is bad, but not like completely terrible either. So
Right, and if you're playing Pidgeot EX, then you have access to it when you need it. So, I think it'll see some play along the way.
yep. But anyway, that's all for today's episode. This set really exciting, going to be coming out very soon as well. But we hope you enjoyed the podcast. Consider checking us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@tontypes and Uncommon Fossil. And you can also check us out on podcasting platforms if you want to see, or just not see us, I guess, listen to us there. But we hope you enjoyed. And as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.